Imagine Genghis Khan suddenly appearing in the modern world. The man who once united the Mongolian tribes, built the largest contiguous land empire in history, and conquered vast territories across Asia and Europe now faces a completely different battlefield. No horses racing across the steppe. No medieval castles. Instead, he would face satellites, drones, fighter jets, tanks, cyber warfare, nuclear weapons, modern intelligence systems, and billions of people connected by technology. So, if Genghis Khan were alive today, could he conquer the world? The short answer is probably no. But the reasons why are fascinating. Around the year 1206, Temujin became known as Genghis Khan after successfully uniting many of the rival Mongolian tribes. His rise was extraordinary. He transformed a divided collection of nomadic tribes into a highly organized military machine. The Mongols were incredibly mobile. Their warriors could travel enormous distances on horseback, survive in harsh environments, and strike enemies before they had time to react. Genghis Khan also understood something many rulers of his time failed to recognize. War was not simply about strength. It was about information, organization, psychology, communication, and speed. His armies used scouts, messengers, intelligence networks, coordinated attacks, and psychological warfare. Against medieval armies, this combination was devastating. But the modern world would be an entirely different challenge. If Genghis Khan appeared today, he probably wouldn't immediately begin by attacking countries. His greatest advantage was always adaptation. He studied his enemies and adopted useful technologies and strategies from conquered peoples. In the modern world, he might focus on communication, intelligence, technology, economics, and political influence. Instead of thousands of horsemen crossing the steppe, imagine highly trained mobile forces supported by drones, satellites, artificial intelligence, and real-time intelligence. The Mongol principle of speed could still matter. But modern warfare has fundamentally changed what speed means. A medieval army could travel hundreds of kilometers and surprise an enemy. Today, satellites can detect large military movements from space. Aircraft can cross countries in hours. Missiles can reach targets in minutes. Surprise would be much harder to achieve. And then there is the biggest problem, modern weapons. A traditional cavalry charge would have almost no chance against modern tanks, artillery, aircraft, and precision-guided weapons. Even the greatest horsemen in history could not simply ride against a modern fighter jet. And then there is the ultimate problem, nuclear weapons. Genghis Khan's empire expanded because his enemies could be defeated militarily. But modern nuclear-armed states cannot be treated like medieval kingdoms. A war between major nuclear powers could potentially destroy entire cities and cause catastrophic global consequences. There would be no simple battlefield where Genghis Khan could defeat an enemy army and claim its capital. Modern warfare is far more destructive, and far more complicated. But Genghis Khan had another weapon that might still matter today, organization. The Mongols created an unusually disciplined military system. Units were organized into groups with clear chains of command. Promotion could be based on ability and loyalty rather than simply family background. Communication was extremely important. The Mongols also developed systems for moving information and supplies across enormous distances. These ideas are surprisingly relevant to modern organizations. If Genghis Khan had access to today's technology, he could potentially become an extraordinary strategist. But strategy alone would not be enough to conquer the planet. Against a small, poorly defended country, a modernized force led by an exceptionally talented strategist could potentially achieve rapid victories. But against a major modern power, the situation changes dramatically. Modern countries have professional militaries, intelligence agencies, air forces, navies, satellites, cyber capabilities, economic systems, alliances, and massive industrial resources. Genghis Khan conquered kingdoms partly because defeating their armies could cause their political systems to collapse. Today, governments can continue operating even after losing individual cities or military units. Modern nations can mobilize enormous populations and industrial resources. The Mongol method of overwhelming an enemy with mobility and psychological pressure would face enormous resistance. Interestingly, Genghis Khan might have more success through politics than conquest. He was an expert at understanding people. He recruited talented individuals from different cultures and allowed conquered peoples to contribute to his empire. His empire became multicultural because he understood that controlling territory required more than simply defeating armies. In the modern world, influence could be more powerful than direct occupation. Economic pressure, diplomacy, information, alliances, and technology can shape countries without a single soldier crossing a border. A modern Genghis Khan might therefore look less like a medieval conqueror and more like a powerful political and strategic leader. So, could Genghis Khan conquer the world today? Almost certainly not in the way he did in the 13th century. His cavalry would be hopelessly outmatched by modern weapons. His armies would struggle against satellites, aircraft, drones, missiles, and modern logistics. And nuclear weapons would make global conquest an extraordinarily dangerous proposition. But there is another lesson here. Genghis Khan's greatest weapon was never simply the horse, the bow, or the sword. It was his ability to adapt. He took divided tribes and transformed them into a disciplined empire. He adopted useful technologies from conquered civilizations. He rewarded talent. He built communication networks across enormous distances. And he understood the importance of speed, intelligence, and psychological warfare. If Genghis Khan were born in the modern world, he would not be the same man fighting with the same weapons. He would adapt to his environment. The world has changed. The weapons have changed. The battlefield has changed. But the qualities of leadership, adaptability, organization, and strategy remain powerful. Genghis Khan could probably never conquer the modern world. But if history teaches us anything, it is this. Never underestimate a leader who knows how to adapt.